In this video, we're not only going to break down a cool fight that I was in recently where I died and try and figure out what we can learn from that to be better in the future, but I also want to try something different and give you guys the opportunity in a few key moments of this fight to figure out what you would have done. It's really easy on the back end to watch a fight and be like, well, I should have done this when we have all the information. But what about in the middle of a fight? What about when you don't have all the information? Because getting better at Tarkov and getting better at Tarkov PvP is often about learning how to make the best decisions possible when you don't have all the info. I'm Jessekazam. Welcome back to another Escape From Tarkov video. I stream Escape From Tarkov on Twitch. I would love to have you stop by and say hey. Those links are down below. And if you like this video, drop a like, comment below, subscribe to the channel. That stuff helps me out a ton. With all that stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and dive right in. So, like we said, we're going to do this one a little bit different from my normal Beyond the Graves. We're still going to watch the clip back first, but during this first watch through, I'm going to pause the video at a few key moments and give you a few seconds to figure out what you would have done. Like we said, we won't have all the information that you get after a fight is over, but based on the information given, what would you have done? Where would you have gone? We'll work our way through the clip and then we'll go back and break down my thoughts and what I think I could potentially do better next time. This is not much set up here. It's interchange. We spawned at the power station or near the power station. I killed one at the power station, and then we run into these guys after we hit the power, and we were going to go to the mall. So let's go ahead and check it out.
Yeah. Incinerated by the power of the sun.
Back. Two. All right. So this is key moment number one. Now I've made the screen black so that you can't continue to analyze the scene. We hear shots from our left. We turn, we see one guy, two guys, can't tell if it's three. We're caught out in the open. We don't really have close cover and we don't have a lot of options, but we know that we're kind of outnumbered here. I'm playing with a duo. What would you do? Would you try to move close right to the ramp and try and get to the mall for cover? Would you push them dead on since these guys are in a rotate? Would you try to fall back? Would you stick together with your duo? Would you separate? Or would you try to go for a flank? Three, maybe. I'm pushing back to power, and then I'm going to go through the back.
Those power things on the left. I'm dead.
That was a Mark 18. All right, another key moment here. We've made our flank. We've decided what we want to do. Unfortunately, the split strategy didn't work out for my teammate, and he was not able to get to a position where he was covered from all three, and unfortunately got dropped. So now, once again, screen is black. You can't see what happens, but we've turned. We see these guys. We identify multiple enemies. Still not 100% sure how many there are. What would you do? Do you push them? Do you try and throw grenades? By shooting, you give up the element of surprise. Which one do you shoot first? Do you position yourself behind cover, or do you go for the quick kill? All right, another key moment, another split-second decision to be made. We're trying to constantly keep on the move. It's never quite as easy as you see all three or four of them in the same spot. We're still wondering, was it three? Is it potentially even four? I've killed one. How do we move forward this? Keep moving, keep rotating. One of them is obviously also moving and rotating around quite a bit, and then completely out of position, out of cover, we get somebody who hard peeks and they're standing still. Do you try to run to cover and hope he misses his shots? Do you just stand your ground and try to out-aim and win that battle? What would you do? Another key moment right after that. We eliminate the other guy. We hear footsteps and we kind of get a little Tarkov audio right here. We hear those footsteps and then immediately after shots. And to me, they didn't sound like they came from the same spot. Does that mean this is Tarkov audio being weird? Does that mean there's more than one enemy left? I'm in a position where there's a lot of cover around me. Would you back away? Would you try to swing really quickly on him? Would you hold and wait for this guy to make a move on you? Oh my God, bro. All right, so another, in my opinion, super fun fight. This is one of those deaths where I was obviously really frustrated at the moment, and that was not the first night. That was not the first fight this night of streaming where I'd killed multiple PMCs and died to the last guy. But as I reflected on this, I really, really enjoyed this fight. So hopefully when watching it through, you kind of got a few of those glimpses, a few of those really quick split-second decisions, thinking about what you have to do. Now, we never even have that much time to consider what to do. We often have to make the decision immediately, but hopefully it was nice to be able to kind of think about what you would do without having all the information, without watching the clip front to back and knowing eventually where everybody was. So we can kind of roll this back and now talk through it. So we're rotating from power to the mall. Like we said, I killed somebody at power, and then we looted power, and then we hit the power. Now we're going to the mall. We hear these shots to the left, and you see this guy is obviously the first thing I see. We see this dude, but then we see tracers kind of flying this way, and I was pretty sure my teammate wasn't shooting. So I try and line up a few shots on this guy. We see another one. We see these guys rotate this way. So they're moving away. They're not standing their ground, holding corners and trying to get cheap shots on us, which is what we want to do here, right? Like, because we're so caught out in the open, the only option we have is to apply pressure and try to get them to move. If some of these other guys that I didn't know were there were just holding tight angles around these things, he probably would have been able to pick up super easy shots on me. But we threw some aggro back at them, and that caused them to reposition. So I immediately call that, it might be 3. I'm going to go for a flank over here. Now this is kind of a rough spot. So I can make a flank here, and I'm excited to see if we can make this work. And as we'll see later, the idea of it was really solid, because when we swing on these guys, they're not facing me. But like we said, back where my teammate is, there's not a whole lot of cover. I'm not exactly sure what he did in this situation. His only cover would really be to wrap around the ramp and go into where all those connexes are, which he had a few seconds to do. And I kind of wrapped through power. I've already looted a pretty thick dude, so I know I'm overweight. I drop the bag so that I can be nimble, and I go back for the Alton. So I'm not a huge fan of the Alton. It's objectively an amazing helmet, but I don't like not being able to hear. I don't like having obscured vision. But because in this fight, I've actually already identified visually where they are, this is less of a, they're gonna get the drop on me by getting to me without me hearing them, or getting to me without me really seeing them. I know where these guys are. So now what I'm gonna do is take the opportunity to maybe tank a few headshots, especially since the Alton is a pretty powerful helmet, and I've got a fast MT with no face shield. So depending on what these ammo these guys have, I mean, if they've got 995 or whatever, I'm going to die either way. But I kind of say, well, let me give myself the best shot to tank a headshot. So we go and we swapped the Alton before we make the push. Unfortunately, the timing of that didn't work out great. As I was making this flank, my teammate gets eliminated. So now this is that second key moment here where I see 2 people, and they're not facing me. They're facing this way, especially this key guy. And actually, now that we stop it, we can kind of see this third dude break away. We see that there's all 3. We see this guy completely facing this way. So I know that at least some part of my flank has worked well. And instead of trying to like push these guys or just sit and try and eliminate as many as I can, pop 1, pop 2, I move to the left and give myself cover from this other guy, which I'm now realizing was both of them, and get a really easy eliminate on this other guy, because he's the guy that's, obviously the least in the know. He's facing the wrong direction, and I've got cover from the other guys. So now I swing immediately around, looking ADS still, you know what I mean? I'm not sprinting. I'm moving slowly. I'm looking for these other guys. This guy makes a push. I've got a tight angle there. I'm holding cover. He misses his shots. I kind of peek out in the open and then be like, this is a bad idea. I'm not sure if this guy's retreating. We talk about throwing grenades from a right side peek. I'm really close to cover here, so I feel confident tossing this nade out, even though I do get shot at. Because I wasn't out in the open tossing the nade, because I wasn't tossing on a left side peek, I was able to throw it and then kind of quickly get behind cover. I rotate around here. I'm just kind of snapping back and forth, looking for these guys, looking for the audio of when they're going to push, where they're going to be. And I toss another grenade over here, and this grenade almost got me killed. As soon as we throw, we see once again this guy peek out the corner. Luckily, he misses his shots on me, and I'm able to super quickly sneak behind cover again. So now that makes me think that that was maybe this guy who we saw over here initially. Then we engaged with him over here, and he's rotating around me this way. So I kind of want to get, we see a glimpse of another guy here. I kind of want to get away from this because they're going to start raining down nades. And if then I'm reacting to them throwing nades at me, then they're going to be set up for me. So we could push back here or we can continue to advance. I was kind of in an aggressive, whenever my teammate dies, I often end up in an aggressive mood because it's like, well, let me see if I can either clean up this fight and get a good clip or just die and then we can hop into the next raid. So we push him. And then this is another one of those key moments. This happens, I think, to a lot of us pretty frequently. You get caught out of rotation and this guy pushes. And there's like stages of learning, at least for me, getting better at Tarkov, where I used to try to take every fight, shoot every person I saw. And then I realized how important it was to move to cover and fight from a more advantageous position. And then you realize that if you're getting shot at, moving to cover, depending on the situation, might not be the greatest call. I'm still a few steps away from this hard cover, and the only other thing around me is a bush. This guy is already standing still, aiming at me. If this guy's got any half-decent aim, if I give him more than a few seconds, he's going to kill me. So we say, I've got class 5 armor, I've got a class 5 helmet and face shield, let's go. So I quickly attempt to snap to his head, and luckily my aim was on that day, and we eliminate that guy. We're a little hurt, but it's my leg. It's nothing crazy. We don't have any broken bones. We don't have any fractures. We are still ready to be in this fight. And that's immediately when I hear these weird footsteps. And we'll play the audio of this again because this threw me off quite a bit. We hear the footsteps and then we hear the shots almost immediately. So this guy had managed to swing around completely, going for the flank on me exactly like I was trying to avoid. I wanted to get away from that position because this guy was going for the flank. And while the other guy distracted me, he whipped all the way around. Now, this was one of those key moments where you say, do you push? Do you fall back? What do you do? When you're in the middle of these long extended firefights and the dopamine starts kicking in and I've killed 2 of them, I start to feel like Superman. And this is kind of where maybe just like pushing and barrel stuffing this guy wasn't the best play. Additionally, this tap sprint here means that as he's coming around the corner, I'm less ready for him, as opposed to if I had right here, if I had stayed at a walking speed and swung around the corner, when he came, I would have potentially been in a better spot here. This is, in my opinion, I don't like fighting this close. I'll find my aim starts to swing around wildly. I've got a long gun, he's got a long gun, and I just don't like fighting that close. I think this is the moment where I was super proud of how I played almost this entire fight. This is the moment where when I got shot at here, instead of swinging around this, I wish I had swung farther left, put a little bit more distance, given myself a little bit more time to maybe get a correct audio cue from him, and then go for a kill at a little bit farther of a distance. Not necessarily a full retreat where we pull back from this guy, but giving myself a little bit more distance than this super close fight right here. It was super unfortunate that they ended up dropping me right there. I had the Alton, and after the raid, we went back and looked at his ammo, and he had 5.6A1, which means an Alton could have stopped the shot. I think what it came down to was the fact that the Alton was a little damaged from when I killed this guy. So it was a little bit of indication on it was kind of a nice move going back for the Alton, because if it had been in better durability, it could have potentially tanked this shot since he had 5.6A1. But he snuck a few good shots on me, and I wasn't able to get any shots on him, and the Alton was a little damaged, so it was big GG's to this guy. So yeah, this fight was fun. This was one of those ones where it felt like It was a fun fight. The death didn't feel unfair. It always feels, it's frustrating to die after you do really well, after you eliminate some people because you're like, man, I really wanted that loot, or I really wanted to finish up that fight. But then in the same token, it feels a little bit better dying, not to something where it's like you're immediately like, that was stupid, why did I do that? It feels a little bit better dying knowing that you actually played something pretty well. In hindsight, I totally should have put this Gen 4 on as well. Anyways, it feels nice dying knowing that you did a good job in that fight. It ended up being a 1v3, and even though I've been playing this game for a long time, I'll take eliminating 2 of them and then almost eliminating the last guy. You know what I mean? That's still a fun fight to me. So I hope that this interesting new format helped you kind of like think about and realize how many quick decisions there are, especially in an extended firefight with more than one person. You're having to make tons of decisions over and over and over again, because every time you see an enemy, every time you go to eliminate an enemy, there's tons of decisions on where to be, what you should do, where their position is, where you are. And a lot of times when we watch the clips, it's really easy to be like, well, duh, you should have just not done what you did. But when you just have one split second, when you don't have all the info, a lot of times it's harder than it looks. So hopefully this helped, and hopefully this helps you break down your firefights a little bit more and help you analyze what you could do better so that you can go out there and start slaying out more and dropping more squads in Escape from Tarkov. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to check out this video. Like we said before, I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch. All my links will be down below. And if you're looking for people to play with, our Discord community is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. If you like this video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel. That stuff helps me out a ton. Anyways, thank you guys so much for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.